How to talk to people in pairs. Elara dreamed of speaking English fluently, but fear often gripped her tongue. Her vocabulary was decent, her grammar lessons complete, yet conversations felt like an insurmountable mountain. She longed to connect with people globally, share ideas, and truly express herself without hesitation. The journey seemed daunting, an endless climb up a very steep, slippery slope. One quiet evening, while browsing online, she stumbled upon a peculiar learning method. It wasn't about endless grammar drills or rote memorization. Instead, it proposed a simple, consistent routine: talk in English just 1 page per day. This concept immediately intrigued her, offering a less overwhelming approach to language acquisition, something manageable and approachable. Her first step involved finding a practice partner. The method stressed the importance of talking to people in pairs, creating a safe, supportive environment for mistakes. She joined an online language exchange community, feeling a mix of apprehension and excitement. The thought of engaging with strangers initially felt quite intimidating, a true leap of faith. Her partner, Leo, was from Canada, also keen to improve his Spanish. They agreed to dedicate 30 minutes daily, 15 for English, 15 for Spanish. This structured approach brought a newfound discipline to Elara's studies. It transformed abstract learning into concrete, real-time communication, making practice feel much more purposeful and engaging. Their first few sessions were awkward, filled with pauses and hesitant sentences. Elara often struggled to find the right words, her mind racing. Leo was patient, encouraging her to speak freely, focusing on conveying meaning rather than perfect grammar. This non-judgmental atmosphere was crucial for her growing confidence, slowly easing her anxieties. The 1 page per day philosophy became her guiding principle. It meant writing a short journal entry, summarizing an article, or even just listing her thoughts in English. This daily writing practice solidified new vocabulary and grammatical structures. It bridged the gap between passive knowledge and active production, making learning tangible. She soon realized that effective communication wasn't just about speaking, it was equally about understanding. How to improve your listening skills became her next major focus. Elara began incorporating English podcasts into her morning routine, listening to them while commuting or doing chores around the house. She chose topics she genuinely enjoyed, ranging from science news to short stories. At first, much of it was a blur of unfamiliar sounds. She didn't understand everything, but persisted, allowing her ears to gradually attune to the rhythm and intonation of native speakers, slowly picking out more and more words. Active listening involved more than just hearing, it meant truly processing the information. Sometimes, she would listen to the same segment multiple times, trying to transcribe phrases or identify specific vocabulary. This deliberate practice significantly sharpened her auditory comprehension, revealing subtle nuances previously unheard. The platform they used offered English Study Plane for Talking features, including conversation prompts and role-playing scenarios. These structured exercises helped them simulate real-life interactions, preparing Elara for diverse conversational settings. They practiced ordering food, asking for directions, and discussing current events, expanding her conversational repertoire. Reading also played a pivotal role in her English journey. English story reading became a cherished part of her evening wind down. She started with simplified readers, gradually moving to authentic short stories and articles. Reading exposed her to rich vocabulary and complex sentence structures in a natural context. Why reading is so important became evident as she encountered new words repeatedly. Reading stories provided context, making new vocabulary easier to remember and understand its subtle connotations. It also improved her comprehension speed and solidified her understanding of English grammar in action. Elara discovered that reading aloud, even to herself, helped connect the written word with spoken pronunciation. This practice reinforced articulation and rhythm, making her speech sound more natural. It was a simple yet profoundly effective technique for integrating various language skills simultaneously, fostering holistic development. Her "Listen English" routine wasn't confined to podcasts. She started watching English movies and TV shows without subtitles, or with English subtitles only. This immersive approach challenged her to pick up nuances, idioms, and cultural references, accelerating her understanding of spoken English. The consistent practice, especially listen and practice, began to yield remarkable results. Her hesitation lessened, her fluency improved noticeably, and her confidence soared. The anxiety that once plagued her conversations slowly dissolved, replaced by a genuine eagerness to engage and participate actively. Leo noticed the dramatic shift in her English abilities. Their conversations flowed more naturally, with fewer interruptions and longer turns of speech from Elara. She could express complex thoughts with greater ease, articulating her opinions clearly and persuasively, a significant personal triumph. The habit of talking to people in pairs proved invaluable. It provided immediate feedback and allowed for spontaneous, organic learning. These real-time interactions were far more effective than isolated drills, pushing her beyond theoretical knowledge into practical application, cementing her understanding. Every day, she embraced the challenge of talking in English just one page per day. This small, manageable goal prevented burnout and ensured continuous progress. It fostered a sense of accomplishment each evening, reinforcing the positive habit and maintaining her motivation levels consistently high. Her English study plan for talking evolved. It was no longer just about structured lessons but about living life through English. She started thinking in English, even dreaming in English sometimes, indicating a deeper immersion and integration of the language into her cognitive processes. How to learn English became a personal journey of discovery rather than a rigid curriculum. Elara understood that consistency and immersion were key, far more than simply memorizing rules. She customized her approach, adapting techniques to suit her learning style perfectly. The active listen and practice sessions were critical. She'd listen to a short story, then try to retell it in her own words, an exercise that tested both comprehension and speaking abilities. This constant engagement with the language on multiple fronts accelerated her progress remarkably fast. Her "How to Improve Your Listening Skills" journey wasn't without its frustrations. Some accents remained challenging, and fast speech still posed a hurdle. However, persistence paid off, and gradually, even the trickiest pronunciations began to clarify themselves, becoming much more intelligible over time. The joy of English story reading deepened her connection with the language. Through stories, she explored different cultures, perspectives, and human experiences. Reading was not just a learning tool, it was a source of pleasure and inspiration, enriching her life immensely. Listen English became a constant companion. Whether doing dishes or walking in the park, an English audio stream was often playing. This pervasive exposure created an environment where the language was always present, facilitating passive learning and natural acquisition, much like a child learning its first language. Why reading is so important truly resonated. Beyond vocabulary, reading offered insights into English rhetorical styles, common expressions, and cultural nuances. It provided a deep well of knowledge that informed her speaking and writing, making her communication more authentic and nuanced. Ilara began participating in online English discussion forums, applying her newly acquired skills. Her confidence had grown immensely, allowing her to voice opinions and engage in lively debates. The initial fear of making mistakes had largely dissipated, replaced by a confident willingness to try. Her paired conversations with Leo became more advanced, tackling complex topics like global events, philosophy, and future aspirations. They even started planning virtual meetups with other learners, expanding their conversational network and exposure to various accents. The one page per day habit, initially a challenge, was now second nature. She looked forward to her daily English reflections, finding it a therapeutic way to process her thoughts. It was no longer just an exercise but a genuine act of self-expression and personal growth. Ilara even started volunteering to help new English learners in the same online community. She shared her experiences, emphasizing the power of consistent daily practice and the benefits of talking in pairs. Her journey became an inspiration to others, demonstrating tangible success. The English study plane for talking had indeed taken off. Her English wasn't just functional, it was becoming expressive, nuanced, and truly her own. She could convey humor, empathy, and a wide range of emotions, something she once thought impossible. She realized that, how to learn English, was less about innate talent and more about consistent effort and smart strategies. The simple, achievable goals she set had accumulated into significant progress, proving that small steps lead to giant leaps. Her listen and practice routine evolved into an intuitive process. She could now follow complex narratives in real time, anticipate speakers' points, and even detect subtle sarcasm. Her ears had truly become tuned to the intricacies of spoken English. How to improve your listening skills was no longer a question but a solved puzzle. Her method involved active engagement, diverse materials, and patient repetition. It transformed her from a passive hearer into an active, discerning listener, greatly enhancing her comprehension. The joy of English story reading extended beyond comprehension. She began to appreciate the artistry of English prose, the beauty of its descriptions, and the cleverness of its dialogue. It was an aesthetic pleasure, deepening her love for the language. Listen English became a gateway to new knowledge. She consumed educational content, documentaries, and interviews, using English as a tool for lifelong learning. It opened up a world of information previously inaccessible, broadening her horizons considerably. Why reading is so important became evident in her improved writing. The exposure to well-structured sentences and diverse vocabulary from books naturally translated into more sophisticated and coherent written communication, enhancing her overall literacy. Her confidence in talking to people in pairs was remarkable. She initiated conversations without hesitation, participated actively in group discussions, and even delivered short presentations. The initial shyness was a distant memory, replaced by bold self-assurance. The discipline of talking in English just 1 page per day had transformed her approach to habit formation. She applied similar consistent, small-step strategies to other areas of her life, realizing the immense power of daily, manageable efforts in achieving significant goals. Ilara's English study plane for talking had truly reached cruising altitude. She was now capable of holding spontaneous, prolonged conversations with native speakers on almost any topic, feeling completely at ease and natural in her interactions. How to learn English transformed from a chore into an exciting adventure. Each new word learned, each fluent sentence spoken, felt like a victory. It was a testament to dedication and the effectiveness of her chosen methods, inspiring her to continue. The continuous loop of listen and practice was the engine of her progress. She found that the more she listened, the easier it was to speak, and the more she spoke, the better she could understand. It was a synergistic relationship, constantly reinforcing itself. How to improve your listening skills had moved from a challenge to an enjoyable pastime. She could now discern regional accents, identify emotional tones, and understand humor and sarcasm with remarkable accuracy, deepening her connection to speakers. The ritual of English story reading continued to enrich her life. She ventured into classic literature, modern novels, and non-fiction, expanding her intellectual horizons. Each book was a new journey, each story a deeper dive into the English-speaking world. Listen English became an intrinsic part of her identity. She no longer thought of it as a study task but as a natural way to engage with the world. Her brain had adapted, making the processing of English seamless and effortless, almost subconscious. Why reading is so important echoed in her growing appreciation for nuanced expression. She understood how subtle word choices could alter meaning and tone, allowing her to communicate with greater precision and artistry, moving beyond mere functional speech. Her ability to talk to people in pairs had opened professional doors. She secured a new job requiring daily English communication, a position she previously wouldn't have dared to apply for. Her language skills directly led to career advancement. The simple rule of talking in English just 1 page per day had transformed her entire perspective on language acquisition. It demystified the process, proving that monumental goals could be achieved through consistent, bite-sized efforts over time. Ilara's English study plane for talking had landed her in a new reality. She traveled extensively, communicating effortlessly with locals, experiencing cultures directly. The language barrier was gone, replaced by genuine connection and understanding, enriching her travels immensely. How to learn English became a story she loved to share. She championed accessible, practical methods over abstract theory, advocating for daily, consistent engagement. Her personal narrative inspired countless others to embark on their own language learning journeys. The symbiotic relationship of listen and practice remained her core strategy. It was a continuous cycle of input and output, refining her fluency and comprehension with every interaction. This dynamic approach kept her skills sharp and her learning evergreen. How to improve your listening skills was no longer a personal quest but a shared insight. She advised others to immerse themselves, start small, and listen actively for meaning, not just words. Her experience provided practical, actionable advice for new learners. English story reading morphed into a passion. She joined a virtual book club, discussing novels with people from different continents. It was a celebration of language, literature, and cross-cultural friendship, proving the power of shared experiences through stories. Listen English was synonymous with joy. Music, debates, comedy, she consumed it all, understanding every word, laughing at every joke. The language had truly become her own, a natural extension of her thoughts and feelings, effortlessly flowing. Why reading is so important, crystallized into a profound understanding: it cultivates empathy, broadens perspectives, and builds a rich inner world. Reading was not just about words, it was about connecting with humanity, one story at a time, deeply. Ilara, once timid, now spoke with the confidence of a native. Her journey, built on daily pages, paired conversations, active listening, and voracious reading, proved that consistent effort transforms dreams into reality. English was no longer a barrier, but a bridge.